On today's show, the guys talk with Ginger Lewman about PodStock, and we've got the East Initiative update and more. That's up next on EduTechGuys.
EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed under the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to EduTechGuys Radio. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, and I'm Jeff Madlock.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. We've got a great one for you. Going to talk all about this kind of an unconference called PodStock happening in Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas.
PodStock. Sorry, that just came over me all of a sudden. It's all like such hard words. PodStock, Wichita, Kansas. Tonight only.
Yeah, that's right. Sunday.
But I think it actually turns out, we'll talk about that. But first, you should reach out on the web and talk to us, www.edutechguys.com. Just drop down to the bottom of the page, fill out the contact form, and let us know what you think of the show, or what you'd like to hear, or what you'd like to see us do, or anything. Well, I'll wear a funny hat for you one day, like you would know. Have one on now. Just go out to Google, type in EduTechGuys, and heck, you're going to find us. If you ever want to get right in touch with us, just hit us twitter.com/EduTechGuys. You can direct message us from there, or just tweet out to us, and we'll get in touch with you. So yeah, going to be a great show. We're gonna jump right into it here in just a second with Ginger Lewman, and she's going to tell us about PodStock.
Yeah, man.
Oh, and we have an East Initiative update today, another one from the East Initiative, and I want to thank Matt Dozier and his crew for always turning out a great update. And so I tell you what, we'll take a quick break, hit a small commercial so you can hear about getting us to come to your place, and then we'll be right back with Ginger Lewman.
You're listening to EduTechGuys.com. Don't just listen to us. Bring us into your district today for cool, exciting, professional development. We'll teach you and your students how to take podcasting to the next level and use it to reach your classroom and to reach the world. Reach out to us on Twitter @EduTechGuys, or head over to EduTechGuys.com. Scroll down on the page and fill out the form, and we'll be in touch. Bring EduTechGuys to your school.
Hey, welcome to the show, and we're really glad to have Ginger Lewman on the show with us to talk about PodStock 18 this year. It's going to be awesome. It gets more awesome every year. We were unable to make it this year.
Yeah.
We've got all kinds of stuff. It's the summertime. Summertime gets so hectic, and but we're hating to miss it. But we're going to try to be as much a part of it virtually, online as we can. So let's ask Ginger, the queen of the ball, the belle of the ball here. Tell us a little bit about how PodStock 18 is rounding out and getting ready to start up.
I'll tell you what, it has been so fun rethinking what PodStock is. It's our 10th birthday, Yeah. So I know that there are people out there in the world who are like, I've never made it to one, or, they have a habit of like, next year, I can't make it, I'll do it next year. And we're like 10 years in, y'all. Time to get here. So we've got, it's super fun seeing people who are like, you know what, this is the year to come. Seeing our friends that we've known forever but never had them there, see them come along and taking the opportunity to really rethink what PodStock has been and where we want it to go. When it first came out, the reason PodStock is because it was all about podcasting, because iPads didn't even exist then.
Right.
And so
isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy to think about? The stuff that's come along since just in the 10 years that PodStock has been a thing.
Yeah, it's, apps, that I can turn the lights on at my house or not, or make sure my garage door is closed or that sort of thing because of, iPads and iPhones and things. It's fun. It's fun. So thinking about what we've done, what's worked and what's moved forward in the world, and then how we take that leap forward and stay just that step ahead like we've always tried to do. Yeah. Even when PodStock started, it was so different than any other education conference out there.
Oh yeah,
and that's what we're doing again this year. So it should be. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be amazing. Privately, I know you won't tell anybody. I am quaking in my boots because we're really doing some different things here, and I'm trusting that our participants are going to be game for something different.
Yeah. Well,
I think they are.
from my experience at PodStock, which was almost 10 years ago now, which is sad for me because I'm one of those people. I want to come back so bad. It always falls at a bad time for me personally. But that's one of those things where PodStock, at least from my experience and following virtually every year that I'm able to kind of tag along online, it's already so different. And the people that come to it, at least I hope anyway, they view it they go into it knowing it's going to be different. And if you're out there listening now, and this is your first time and you're listening here to, it's going to be your first time to PodStock, it's going to be different than any other conference you've ever been to. It really is.
Well, and it's funny because we have a good number of people who aren't connected on social media, and they come because somebody just elbowed them and said you got to get here or something like that. So they don't have like pre-qualifiers. They don't have like a heads up other than what their friend may have remembered to tell them. And so every year we've got people who come in and go, "What the heck?" And then they leave. They're like, "Holy crap! I'm part of the family."
Yeah.
Not like in a culty way, but
yeah. Well, and this year you guys are changing up. You're changing up a lot of stuff. You're changing up the format of a lot of stuff.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a lot of things, but the things that we are changing are big changes. For instance, we at EduTech, which is of course the home service center for PodStock, we believe in depth of learning. Now, I know that's so groundbreaking, right? But conferences say that, but don't really practice that. You have your 3-hour workshops here and there, and somebody's still standing in the front of the room, and you get a little hands-on, and then that's it. So Kevin Honeycutt and I decided to rub our brains together a little bit, which is always scary to do, but I can't believe the people here in the office let us do that. We said, hey, it's our 10th year, let's do this. We're like, yeah. So we're having 3-hour-long sessions, and they're not workshop type sessions. These are hand-picked topics and actually hand-picked facilitators because we needed to trust people who would understand that this isn't a presentation. Yeah. And so we're kind of marrying the flavor of an ed camp. I do love ed camps. Kansas, by the way, has 6 ed camps in the summer. Wow. For people who don't understand PodStock, they're like, oh, well, why would I go, pay for a conference when I can do ed camps for free? And I say do both. Why not have the chicken and the gravy? Is it just lunchtime? We've taken that flavor of the crowdsource in the conversation. The thing that I don't love about ed camps is that sometimes the depth of learning there is not really there in some places, and in other places sometimes you've always got that person who dominates the talking. So we want to take the awesomeness of what Ed Camp's supposed to be, bring it in, but go deeper. So in our 3-hour sessions, we're starting out with that conversational feel, and then there's going to be an opportunity where we switch, we transfer into, now we're going to do some stuff. Because how many times have you ever gone to a conference, got some great ideas, great connections, and went home and did maybe, if you were lucky, one of them, but most of the time you got busy and you dropped them and you thought, oh crap, I was gonna, and never did. Right. So this is what this is about. And so that leads into our second big change, is that if we've got longer sessions for more in-depth, let's think about our pre-con. Now our pre-cons, why do conferences do pre-cons, y'all? Because we want more.
Yeah, well, you want the more hands-on, you want to be able to experience whatever it is you're learning. I mean, generally speaking, when I think of pre-cons, that's what it is. It gives me a chance to get me into some of the depth of that. Give me the tip of the iceberg, but then let me dig down into the iceberg.
That's right. And it's lavishing a little bit of extra time, right? And well, if that's what we're doing in our 3-hour sessions, why do we need a pre-con?
Right.
Right. I mean, if that's what learning should be, why should it be optional? 1. Yeah. And 2, why don't we just do it that way? So then, well, what if we were to consider the idea of a post-con?
Oh.
Because when we talk, yeah, exactly. And so I said,
Ginger and Kevin get together. They come up with post-con.
So people, again, the pre-cons are optional, but in this world, the post-con is not really optional. Think about when we want kids to learn, right? We want them to go in, we want them to go in deep, and then what's the last thing they do with their learning? They present it, right? Yeah. They share it. They say, this is what we're proud of. They get feedback from a crowd that may not have been there at the inception and some thoughts. And then when they go home, they have a finished product. That's what our post-con is. And it's really not optional. And of course, we're not going to chain anybody in with doors locked, that sort of thing. But the idea is that we here at ESDAC believe that if we want to practice what we preach, if teachers teach how they're taught, then by gosh, we better be doing that too in our work. And so it's a great opportunity to now say, all right, we can do this, and to take that last half day, that Friday morning, to, I guess, do post-con work. Anyway, we'll see how that goes.
I think it's going to be great.
Excited about it.
That would excite us because, think of the folks that are going to come. They're the kind of folks that are looking for the opportunity to get out of their shell, are already out of their shell, and I know they like to get up and talk about what they learned and share that. So I think it's going to go great. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Well, and I like the idea. It's funny. Many moons ago, I had gone to a training for something. It was a very technical training, and at the end of every other day, it was a week long. So, like at the end of Tuesday and at the end of Thursday, the presenter would say something along the lines of, "Are you comfortable with what you learned?" And of course, everybody goes, "Yes, we're comfortable." And do you think you could demonstrate what you've learned? And half the people would be like, "Yeah, maybe," and the rest of us are like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. No, I'm not going to present this," or whatever. No, this is many moons ago. So
then you didn't really learn it, did you?
So, right, exactly. Well, so on Friday of that week-long workshop, when he got to the end, in his case, it was the afternoon as everybody's kind of wrapping up and stuff, and he said, "Do you understand the material you learned?" "Yes, we understand the material." And they said, "Do you think you could teach someone else the material if you were asked to?" And some people were like, "Yeah." And some people were like, "Well, I don't know." Or then, of course, you have a couple of folks like, "Yeah, I could teach this all day long." And he said, "Great. I want you to come up here and pick 2 things that you learned and teach the rest of us what you learned." And I thought that was an awesome way to do that. Now, I will tell you, a lot of the people who were bragging and boasting suddenly couldn't present, anything. I mean, yeah. They were claiming, but couldn't do it. So I think in terms of that post-con, doing it at a conference, I think is awesome. I really wish there was, and maybe there is, and maybe this is something you guys already do at ESDAC, but I wish that was something we could incorporate into PD in general. I mean, either at the end of the day, or if it's a 2-day workshop that you're doing, why not have the people who have been learning demonstrate or show off what they've learned? I love that idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, the answer to that, of course, is that we can. We just have to. We just have to say that's important enough to take the time to do that. And too many times we're trying to shove in more, or we're just trying to get out, right, or we don't want to insult people, or the reason I'm a little worried about this, and thank goodness it's PodStock, because I've got so many things running through my head right now. I'm nervous because with the pre-cons we've done in the past with makerspaces, there'll be a good chunk of people who come through and they look at things. The people who are new to PodStock aren't sure what it's like, and they'll come through and they'll look, and let's say it's a day-long makerspace, and they're like, "That's really cool." And it takes until after lunch for them to actually put their hands on things. Mm-hmm. But we give them the time and the wiggle room to understand that comfort needs to take place. This is what makes me nervous, because if we have 3-hour-long sessions, we don't have a half a day to try to get them comfortable, and then to know that they're going to share at the end. I think the reason that this will uniquely work at PodStock is because we are a family, and because those folks who are nervous aren't going to be left out there alone. Mm-hmm. We've got facilitators who are picked to walk people, to have things in our back pockets, again, like a good teacher would have, is like, "Listen, I trust that you're going to be able to do it, but some of you are going to have a struggle. I'm not going to hand it to you. I'm going to wait until you struggle. Yeah. And then I've got some stuff for you if you need it." But I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be very cool. And like you said, and one of the things that you keep saying in relation to the conversation about PodStock is it is very family-like. I mean, it really is. The folks that are going to get up there and share what they've learned, even if they are, absolutely uncomfortable, at least at the start, I think by the time they get there, it really is just like standing up and talking to, you just happen to, or maybe not even standing up, just talking to the group of friends, and you're just hanging out and you're just shooting the breeze about whatever it is that you learned the takeaways from the different sessions that you went to? I mean, there's definitely not going to be a high and dry, leave you out there in the wind to flap around aimlessly.
There's no room for, and there's no time for, and there's no tolerance for snipers. We won't have it.
Yeah.
And that's the community that we've intentionally built. We're all for criticism. We're all for critiques, but we don't have to do that in a way that's kind of a guru know-it-all. You know?
Right.
Because even the guru know-it-all doesn't.
Right. Yes. Right. Exactly. That's exactly.
Because you don't know my kids and you don't know my classroom and you don't know my personality. Right. So move on and sit back down.
Yeah.
And so people are allowed to be who they want to be. Our topics, of course, are EdTech flavored, but really, PodStock we started out EdTech. Mm-hmm. But EdTech really is about innovation and it's about good teaching. And so there's a huge chunk of what we're doing that is pretty darn analog. I mean, when we're talking about relationships with kids, we're talking about the trauma responsive movement. When we're talking about solving poverty and healing trauma, that's going to be a piece of PodStock as well, because EdTech's kind of laid down a stake in that field nationally. And we think that's important. Our girl, Rebecca Lewis-Pankratz, talks a lot about what's the one thing that if we don't do, nothing else matters. And that's dealing with trauma and poverty, and that's what we here also believe. And so that's a big piece of it. We're going to be talking about Project-Based Learning Kansas. Of course, we're a national conference, but there's a lot of folks there from Kansas. Kansas is in the middle of a redesign. We are redesigning our schools right now. Not one, not two. We're all in the process. And it's kind of cool that it happens right here when we're at their 10th birthday of redesigning PodStock. And then again, who in education is not thinking about how to redesign our classrooms? So that's really what we're about, those new 3 R's of education. Is that the reflect, respond, and redesign, right? That's where we are. So it's
That's
fun.
really awesome.
That's right. The new 3 R's.
That's right.
Cool.
Relationships needs to fit in there somewhere, but I guess, I don't know. I guess that just maybe goes without saying.
Yeah.
I'd like to say it to go without saying. I think we still need to say it, though.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
It needs to be the 4 R's.
Maybe it's hidden in there inside reflect. Because, I just told David, I said, we were just joking around that. I said, have we been together too long? Do we need to see other podcasters for a while? So, we were reflecting on our...
And I said, yes.
Hey, that's not funny.
So, they do. You have guest bloggers. Why wouldn't you have guest podcasters from time to time?
And we've talked about that in the past too. So, So, no, I think we're still doing okay. We go home and we don't see each other for days on end, so that works out well.
Okay.
Keep it nice. We got back from ISTE and I walked up I drove him back to his house and I walked up to the passenger side of his wife's car. And I said, listen, he's probably going to be a little clingy for a few days. Remember, he's been stuck with me for 5 days. So, it is what it is.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe he's just having Jeff withdrawals. Maybe that's what it is.
No one has Jeff withdrawals. Yeah. So, hey, Ginger, thanks for coming on the show and talking to us about PodStock. And we're going to drop the word out there as fast and as quick and as much as we can.
Beautiful. PodStock, #PodStock18. That's where we are.
That's awesome. I was just going to say, how do people find out more? So there you go.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me always.
Hi there, I'm Melanie Ridlin with the East Update. In East, we see some amazing things and hear remarkable stories of students. This week, we want to take a closer look at what it means to be a student in 2018. Josh Worthy facilitates East at Sonora Elementary School in Springdale, working with students as young as the 2nd grade. For a few of us, it has been a while since we were in the 2nd grade, so what about kids these days? Josh gives some insight on how technology has changed their world.
Every 2 years, every 3 years, there's an evolution with how they're communicating, how they're talking, how they're having conversations with each other. For the longest time, we've classified millennials as kids that are buried in their cell phone, and all you see is 2 little thumbs twitching back and forth, and they're maybe losing that face-to-face time of how to communicate. And I'm starting to see a change, especially with younger elementary kids, 3rd, 4th grade. They're starting to get that FaceTime again, that face-to-face time. It's just in a different way.
Community is just as important as when we were kids. It's just that the community has been redefined.
I think the things that have been the same in the last 14 years is, students want to be together. They want, after school in the evenings, they want to spend time with each other. They just do it in a different way. At the start of my teaching career, people would meet up at the mall or meet up at the gas station, get some ice cream or whatever. And now they're spending time. They can do this community thing, but it's a digital community.
They can go places and have experiences online. Josh says they are seeing that the world is a smaller place, which is huge to a 9-year-old. This open communication and broader sense of community comes with the responsibility to teach our students to discern the good from the potential bad. It's a balancing act, as Josh explains.
And being able to juggle safety and, exposing them to a bigger world is a juggling act. You've got to make sure that, you're getting them out there, but you're keeping them safe.
Thanks, Josh. Comments today from Josh Worthy, East Facilitator at Sonora Elementary School in Springdale, Arkansas. If you're interested in knowing more about the East Initiative, please visit www.eastinitiative.org or just search for East Initiative on social media. Our music today is Rainbow from Seyong, an East student at Harrisburg College and Preparatory School. With the East Update, I'm Melanie Ridlin.
Hey, thanks to Melanie and Josh for bringing us the East Initiative update. And as Jeff said, special thanks going out to Matt Dozier, who heads up the whole project. And we really do appreciate those guys putting in the time and the effort to put those updates together. We hope you are enjoying those. Let us know what you think about that. Go to www.edutechguys.com. Go to the bottom of the page, fill out the form, and let us know what you think about the East Initiative updates. Or hit us up on Twitter at EduTechGuys and keep us posted. Let us know. What do you like? What what maybe might need some work, or what's a topic you would like to see covered in a future East Initiative update?
Yeah, like how often do I change my oil with synthetic oil? I'm just kidding.
What are you even talking about?
You said any question.
Okay.
So they can ask any question.
Ask me anything.
It's Car Talk. Uh-oh.
Car Talk. Hey.
It's not to be associated with EduTech Guys.
Oh, yeah, we can't do that. Sorry. Just kidding.
Hey, listen, it's been a great show. I want to thank Ginger once again and all the gang at the East Initiative. Hope you continue to listen to our podcast, even though sometimes
especially after
we get a little crazy off the rails. But we hope you like to laugh, because we do like to laugh.
That's right. Hey, we grew up listening to Ozzy, so, when it's going off the rails of the crazy train, we took that to heart.
Oh, I thought you meant Ozzy and Harriet. But okay, I get it. Ozzy.
I'm not that old.
Hey, listen, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.